All right, let's talk about the 75th annual Tony Awards. Can you believe 75 years? We're gonna just talk about all the fun, exciting things. I'm randomly Ronnie Jr. Angelique Perrin joining me today. Not only is she a dear friend. Hi, Angelique.
Hey.
Radio personality at Cafe Mocha Radio, amongst every other station practically in the country, you would want to say, a radio veteran. She definitely knows what she's doing, along with a voiceover actress and a couple of other things too. So it's always good to get your expertise. And for some reason, we were just texting and we wanted to talk about, the arts. We wanted to talk about the Tony Awards. And so many performances kind of blew me away. Did you feel the same way?
I mean, Ronnie, first of all, thank you for texting me about the Tonys because I was sitting there by myself, lonely, thinking, is anybody watching? Does anybody care about this? But yes, I there were many moments that I got excited about, starting with our host who was just phenomenal. Um, she's just phenomenal and
Yeah.
adorable.
It's like you're watching the beginning. I mean, we can't say beginning because Ariana DeBose, of course, has been nurturing this craft for so many years. But in terms of that moment where you are in it, but then you become it. From being in it to becoming it is what we're seeing. And what I really feel like we're witnessing too is the growth of her career. Like we're gonna be like, do you remember the first time she hosted the Tonys? And you see that when she won for Anita in West Side Story, and Rita Moreno was right there in the building as well at the Oscars. I thought that speech was like almost as if it was filmed. Like it was done so well. She said every word perfectly. It was thought out. And there's many times with these performers where you're like, a star is born, but definitely Ariana DeBose at the Oscars, a star was already born, but more so now. And what she did with that opening number, the Tonys are fun for that. I always say that I necessarily didn't grow up loving or knowing a lot of like stage and musical theater work, but over the past like 7 to 8 years, I've really found a fascination with the craft. And I think it's because so much of what's happening now is you're TikTok famous. So we're getting a lot of really famous people and people with lots of money, but with zero talent. And that's not knocking the Kardashians, but it's just such a refreshing.
You straight called him out.
I mean, some could say that me, what I do, radio, they could say that that's not talented. But the bigger
Give
point
me a
is,
break. You know
well,
what? Here's what I want to say
tell me.
is that when it comes to talent and when it comes to longevity in this business, you need more than one trick in the pony. You got to
Mm,
be able to do more than one thing, and that's the problem with the YouTube and the TikTok generation. They get TikTok famous off this one thing, but you have to know how to reinvent yourself and to keep finding that fame and that success over and over and over again by, flipping the script on them. I love Ariana because let's start with the reality. The reality is 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, she would have won that Oscar and it would have been sitting exactly where Marissa Tomei's is. You know what I'm saying? On a shelf somewhere with her fingers crossed that, ooh, let me hope I get some more work. Let me
hmm
hope this turns into something. But because of the moment that we're in right now, somebody said she's cute,
hmm
she's skinny, she's mixed, and she's talented. And
yeah,
she got up there and she did everything that I wish that I could do, honestly. I mean, you
sure.
don't know anything about the theater like that, but just name a musical and I can sing a song from it.
hmm
And I was a theater major and I literally had to stop the Tony Awards after Billy Porter's memoriam.
Yeah, that was so
I
good.
literally had to stop the Tonys and sing On the Street Where You Live. Okay, so
hmm
that's how passionate I am
Yeah.
about theater. And we see shows on Broadway all the time. But the truth about Ariana is that without the movement and without the moment that we're in right now, she never would have gotten that opportunity.
Mhm.
James Corden would have been hosting, or so, like he's not even from theater, or a situation like that where it's just sort of the usual suspect. So it makes me wonder how many talented Arianas have been passed over and
Yeah.
not given that shot.
Like they have their moments, but for some reason the entertainment industry doesn't allow them to have their second and third. I always thought Leslie Odom Jr. was going to continuously be in, and he's done stuff, of course, not knocking, but you're right. He has his big moment, but then um, he could have been hosting an award show, this award show. Um, it's
Yeah,
just it's a special thing because again, I didn't grow up in the theater community, but I just am respectful of it. It's one of those things where I grew up in such like a sports household, so theater was like what we didn't touch. And about 10 years ago, 8 years ago, whatever, I just began to make this little thing where I would always want to watch the Tony Awards, be it watching it by myself. And I will tell you, I think this must have been about 7 years, unless there was a leap year. One of the reasons, Angelique, that I'm really tied into the Tony Awards is I remember in 2016, doing whatever you're doing, and just kind of like I was at my Harlem apartment at the moment, and you're just looking at life as just a certain thing. And I remember the most important thing of the day Sunday was like, oh, the Puerto Rican Day Parade is on Sunday. Kind of like you just expect things to go the way they're going to go. But that was the night that Orlando had happened, and I think it's about 7 years that everything kind of lined up the same way. This Sunday was the Puerto Rican Day Parade. The Saturday would have been the 7 years that that awful tragedy had happened. And I only say that to tell you, Angelique, what's turning on, and Steve Corden, what's his name, James Corden,
okay.
was the host of that night. I remember being in my apartment all alone, crying for these souls, these beautiful gone too soon souls, just living a great life, at a gay club in Orlando, and just feeling so hurt by it, crying, like crying.
Yeah.
And nothing makes that better, but turning the Tony Awards felt like community. So I didn't mention that I'm not necessarily as in tune and not a theater major like Angelique to just say that. I said it to say that the Tony Awards is community that I'm basically craving, or have had moments where I've been craving for certain reasons. And then above all, taking it off that topic, which is of course sad. It's just fun. It's community. I love to see seeing Sutton Foster out there with Hugh Jackman. I thought that was a great little moment or whatever. It's unified. I think we should talk forever and ever, Angelique, but I feel like you and I, we cannot talk until we talk about the moment of the night. In most broadcasts that I do, and Angelique's in radio too, so we always tease things, but I will not tease no more. We have got to look into this amazing moment by Joaquina in Paradise Square, and really just bask in it. So let's take a listen to this.
Let it burn. Let it burn.
Oh,
Let it burn. Let it burn.
um,
Um,
Angelique, first thoughts. I mean,
Joaquina,
Joaquina,
the
yes,
musical is Paradise
Paradise Square.
Square, and it's about, I never heard of the musical. It's about blacks and Irish people.
I think there was this. I don't know if it's fictional or what. Well, parts of the 5 points is where the I guess like the integration had
Okay.
happened, and that's somewhat of what the story is about. From what I've researched just recently, and it's a newer production, so I believe it is a newer production. And
I will
she came off of Slave Play also. She was also in that previously. Yeah.
I will say that a lot of the performances I saw did not impress me at the Tonys. Um, the Michael Jackson one was phenomenal, but when she stepped on stage, I was probably, you know how you half watch. I'm like, I don't know who this girl is. What is this? Okay. And then
Mm.
I heard that voice and I was like, oh my gosh. I come running back to the TV, boop, 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 rewind a little bit. I'm like, she is amazing. And I'm going to see that play. There aren't any words. And then she won lead actress in a musical, beating out people that you had heard of. And she deserved that sucker. She deserved it. That girl is amazing.
Yeah. It was I was watching it and I was watching it like live. I was actually not multitasking. I was watching it and I just was so taken to the performance. Um it was no one I knew, and like I said, I feel real bad that I'm not like that up on all of these shows, but I just I think somebody when they in the tweets they were like, oh, when that tear broke, you knew that it was on. And I guess even in the rehearsal, she had got the standing ovation. It is just such a unique thing to have that level of talent that the theater community, while loving, could also be jaded because everyone's so talented. So to impress the theater community is something. And I also started to look into her career. She went to Juilliard. Um, and I was looking on YouTube just to see some of her work, right? I was kind of like having that navigation. I'm looking on YouTube and I saw a video of her auditioning for Glee. So this was what, many years ago.
Yeah.
And there's a YouTube video of her auditioning for Glee. And what I loved about it is that it told me like she was ready to get the success of Glee at the time, but whatever reasons they didn't book her. If you just stick to your craft, you're gonna have that special moment. And I don't know about you, and maybe this is camaraderie with friends that you work in the same business with, but when was it Danielle Brooks and Cynthia Erivo, when the way they reacted when she did later on win the award, that to me said all everything that I need to know. To have people like love you so much and want you to win so much is really touching. And her speech was as phenomenal as Ariana DeBose, as we said at the Oscars. It was everything was said right, and it did open your mind and expose you to that play. And whatever the more difficult subject matter, it still does allow you and want you to go and see that. So if you're able to go see it, definitely check that out. Paradise Square. The song "Welcome Home" or "Get Home" is another one I like from Paradise Square. So if you want to hear more of her, you know,
And
check it
theater
out.
tickets are so cheap right now. By the way, I mean, pretty reasonable. They used to be you couldn't get theater seats for $500 anywhere decent. Now, oops, I probably shouldn't say this because my mom might watch, but I got us tickets to Phantom of the Opera, and they were like $130, which is like really orchestra somewhere in the middle. So pretty cheap if you're going to be up in New York. I want to talk about Jennifer Hudson
Oh yes.
and her EGOT. Well, before I talk about Jennifer Hudson and the EGOT, I don't know who she was giving. Her and RuPaul come out. They introduce whatever they introduce. Now I gotta get gossipy. Jennifer Hudson is about to have her own talk show, right? Yes,
Yeah.
it is happening. It is a done deal. Ink, paper, everything. They're doing test shows. But watching her get up there and try to read that teleprompter, the very first thing I said is that girl is not ready to. If this is live, okay? This talk show thing has been in the works for months. They have test shows that they've done in front of audiences and in front of press, and she is struggling with like 2 lines on the teleprompter. And I'm like, I'm praying. I'm praying for you because the talk show's coming, ready or not. Anyway,
Could it have been nerves though? I mean, you don't think so? You do a talk show, it's your vehicle. You have everybody kind of right with you. The director's in your ear with the IFB, like things kind of work. She's now going into a world that maybe she feels not intimidated by because she's such a star, but I don't know. I'm trying to
give benefit of the doubt. Well, here, let me
yeah.
add some more icing to the cake for you. So
I love that you're honest about it though too, because too many celebrities are getting talk shows, and Ronnie and Angelique, we have studied the craft of radio, and it isn't just speaking a lot of times. And when you see so many celebrities getting talk shows, for one, they're here today, gone tomorrow. RuPaul had one, that's gone. Um,
And they were trying to give him another one.
second
Anyway,
chances is what celebrities get quite a bit. Yeah.
I love that though. Second chance is beautiful because that means that there's always a chance for us. But when she did the early previews, and this might have been May, she did early. I'm talking about Jennifer Hudson did some early previews of the talk show in front of the press, and I can't remember what outlet it was, but it was a fairly reputable news outlet. The guy was like, "Yo, she was struggling with the teleprompter and it was painful and we all felt bad and she tried to joke her way kind of through it, but at least one reporter felt like not quite ready for prime time. But it doesn't matter because Jennifer Hudson is now an EGOT winner, the second Black
Behind
female EGOT
Whoopi.
winner.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that is someone who has won an Emmy, a Grammy, an Oscar, and a Tony. And so she was a co-producer of the best play that turned out to be the
The
best musical,
strange loop. Yeah.
the Strange Loop
Which was the
play.
one that had the most buzz anyway. So I was glad that it did win. I felt like they could have had more time when they won on stage. It felt like they were trying to get the same amount of talking points, but I think when you're producing the show, maybe you give a little extra time. It would have been nice, but I,
Well, the writer guy had his time prior, and he said such a great quote about doing your best. And I think he said Jane Wyman. I wish I would have written it down. It was
mm,
a fabulous quote about, about doing your best and kind of putting your best work out there for the world. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I
you're right. He did have his moment. You are
yeah.
right. It's just such a thrill to see. Even hearing the whole when I was working at a movie theater and these things were not open or available to people who looked, talked, acted like myself. And now here I am. I mean, this is what, like you said, we need, but also where the times are, available to, which is so great because for so many years, it didn't even, here's what's weird about it. It didn't even matter if you had that skill set. There was no open available doors. So this was a time that kind of felt a little bit different and piqued my interest. I'd love to see the show,
I mean,
absolutely.
there was an opening if you wanted to dance and sing in the back.
Oh
There's
yeah.
yeah. With
Ronnie
a
over there just
broom.
Ronnie just shaking and shimming. All right, if anyone wants to see about an audition, you pay me correctly, maybe.
Hey.
No, radio is what I do. But it was fantastic across the board. We saw, Company. We saw Patty LaPone. That sort of back in action, which was also great. And above all, there was a good energy of Stephen Sondheim. Giving that, like you said, the memoriam earlier on was because the two things, Angelique. This 75th is already, that's such a magical, the 75th annual Tonys, but it was the return of Broadway first Tonys out. So this one really did feel like something. And the detachment of, losing Stephen Sondheim, like that, it was quite an ordeal. Like I say, I will watch it with as a viewing party with friends. I will watch it by myself. And sometimes I feel so silly because I'm like, it's not my area of expertise. But the passion that I have behind these performers, and I love to see them. I love to hear their stories. I like to hear where they came from. Even Jesse Tyler Ferguson, I love his story about like when I came here, I moved from wherever I moved at 19, and I was like, no, mom and dad, this is where I need to be. And I used to work right down the street, and now I'm over here like at this
Yeah.
theater for his plays getting a lot of attention, and not for Jesse Williams, but that whole funny stuff. But for the show itself, do you have a Jesse Williams comment?
I don't have a Jesse Williams comment. The comment that I do have is the infiltration of these big TV and movie and music stars coming in and bulldozing an award show that's made for theater people. I
Well,
mean,
but
one of
he's
the
but he's a theater person to begin with, so I
I'm
think
not
there's
okay, I'm not saying that he's not. I just whenever I see the big names, I always go, "Oh, well, we know who's going to win this one." And almost always it is exactly. I mean, having Sam Mendes, who's a big time film producer, produce a Broadway play, you already know he's gonna win.
Yeah.
It's like, and I believe there were maybe the best director category had 2 black women in it. Did it?
I think so. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it had a couple, 2, maybe 3 black, you know. Um, but I guess you gotta get people in the seats.
I
And if you're
totally
having
get. Yeah.
the big
For
stars,
what it's worth, I totally get what you're saying. That whole like stunt casting or whatever. It's just in this regard, I do think. I mean, again, that's actually the reason I did say that funny business with Jesse Williams, which is not his fault. And anyone who knows my broadcast style, I love to talk about the the little fun stuff.
oh,
How
right. Oh,
yeah.
I'm sorry. I missed it. Jesse got busted. Somebody filmed
Well,
in the
he
theater and
didn't.
he was naked
Yeah,
in the
and okay, and
scene. I
for the
forgot about that.
for the record, I'm not the most like astute broadcaster. I love the little nasty jokes every once in a while, but when it comes to that play, for one, I like the premise already. Okay, and whether it's Jesse, Tyler Ferguson, Jesse Williams, whoever's all in it, I thought it was from what I heard, the synopsis. I really liked the synopsis, so I kind of, as much as Jesse Williams was mighty fine in, in what had happened. I hate that overshadowed it. And a lot of times people are like, "Oh, publicity is good publicity." I don't know. I really like when I had heard about what that show's about. I think it's called "Take Me Out," right? Take me out to the ball game
Take
kind of
me
thing.
home. Take me
Yeah,
out.
something of that. Forgive me for not knowing the exact. But what I'm saying is, it was the one time that I felt like bad publicity was not exactly good, because now everyone just makes it like, "Oh, I want to see that play. Did you see Jesse Williams?" It's like, have some, do that for everything else. Again, as we said, do that to the TikTokers, do that to Kim Kardashian. The theater, just like when Patty LuPone said, put your effing mask on, have some respect when you walk into the theater. I almost feel, and I'm not necessarily the person who, dresses to the nines to go to a show, but I almost feel like we should have that respect when we walk in the theater. Dress to the nines, respect the craft. And this funny business, and again, Jesse Williams, it was mighty fine.
I
I
didn't
will
look.
admit, I like what I saw, but don't.
Chat it to me, please.
Uh,
I read the story. I didn't click on the link.
oh, I've done the investigative report, and again, Angelique, why do we do this?
You asked me
um,
to.
yeah, this is great. No, but what I'm saying is, I don't like when those other elements kind of, I remember there was the year that Mike Pence went into Hamilton, and then there was the like, a lot of people were feeling like, how dare they have something to say about him? And it's like, I remember because I was doing radio in Arizona at the moment, and Arizona is very, not exactly as liberal as you'd like. And a lot of the phone calls, the fan base would say, our news reporter, she reported the story, and they were like, "Oh, that's so rude that the Hamilton people had something to say about Mike Pence, and this and this." And it's like, not really. Like, he shouldn't be in the theater. His exact stuff that he did in, I guess, Indiana is where he's from. Were anti gay, or not anti, pro gay conversion therapy, stuff of that nature. I'm just saying, the antics in the theater, there's no place for it. Did that round it out? There's no place for antics in the theater. And if you do, Patty LuPone's going to get you. Were there any other standout moments? Were you shocked that the MJ did so well? I will tell you that I honestly thought I didn't expect it to do that well. That's not a knock. I just didn't. I'm being honest.
First of all, I didn't know that MJ had a Broadway thing going on. I saw the one in Vegas, Michael Jackson, the one or ones or whatever it's called, and that was fabulous. But when I saw first, I heard them playing, what was it?
What's that?
The Jackson 5 song. And I'm like, why are they playing this Jackson 5 song? And then out
Oh,
comes Blanket and out comes Paris Jackson. And I was like, oh my gosh. But when that young man came out, and in the first 32 and a half seconds that he was dancing, I logged into BroadwayWorld.com and I was like, I'm getting tickets to this right now.
yeah.
So, am I surprised that it won? I didn't know it existed,
Mhm.
But based on that little bit I saw, they deserve it. I mean,
Yeah.
that kid is phenomenal.
Right.
Those moves were phenomenal. But yes, I was surprised that he won the lead actor.
Yeah.
Um,
I guess
I was surprised by that.
I have a soft spot in my heart for Billy Crystal. I also have a soft spot in my heart for like people that are, of a certain age, that they can't be around forever. So I kind of thought maybe he would take the win. And it's not a this or that thing, mind you. It's just I liked his performance too. I really like what Billy Crystal had. Did you love it? He's so charismatic to me. I really like him. And in my head, you know, he's always been old or something, and he's like still in his 40s. And I'm like, wait a minute, if I'm in my 40s, he's got to be, up there. And I loved his performance. The commanding of attention was so fantastic.
I can't imagine sitting through a musical like what Billy Crystal presented. I am a fan of his. I love his zany. I mean, I love him, but I that is not my kind of musical. I'm not saying that you have to be a perfect singer, but I wasn't inspired by him yelling
Oh,
and
really?
and clowning. No, not at all. I was really like, okay, who gave him money to put this on? Could you do could you pull Meg Ryan out of retirement and doing Harry
Harry
when
Met Sally.
Harry met Sally after retirement?
Re-
Please. This is
oh,
not
how
what I want from
funny.
me, Billy Crystal.
Okay, let me say something else. I personally like him, but one of the things that wins me, and I think you're the same way, is if you watch a handful of interviews where they're promoting their show or promoting something, and you understand their why. Like this seemed like an important project to him, this Mr. Saturday Night, and at this time of his life. So I think that's what did it for me. Whereas the MJ thing, I wasn't as familiar with. And the kid is young; he's got plenty of years to win and grow. And again, it's not a this or that thing. I just say that I was a little surprised that he won versus Billy Crystal, but maybe everyone doesn't feel Billy Crystal the way I do. I think he's, as he would say, simply marvelous.
No, he's fantastic. And yes, I am surprised the young Michael Jackson actor won against people who were well known even outside of Billy Crystal. Um but yeah, I
Well, it's a
wasn't a
career and it's
fan.
a career springboard for the kid too. So this is going
Yeah.
to be to win this young. I mean, this is such a great opportunity for him.
Hopefully.
Hopefully, like you mentioned, yeah.
Here's what I'm gonna say also, and this is I don't want to like dig too deep into fashion, but I have some points that I need to bring up.
Oh, I
Question
love it.
number one is Sarah Paulson and that freaking when she came out, she's got on this outfit. Please try to find a picture.
Oh, if you explain it, I'll find a picture.
She's got on this sort of goldish sequin outfit that has a round pumpkin thing around right around her waist. And whoever was up on stage with her was like, "Oh, your outfit." And she's like, "People have thoughts about it." And the first thing I thought when she came out on stage, because again, I'm sort of half watching, I see this big old junk in the trunk, and I was like, "Yo, did Sarah Paulson get a Brazilian butt lift? What is going on?" And then I see the dress, and I was like, "Girl, who? All right,
Okay,
your
well, so you're
your
not
wife
feeling this.
does not love you."
You're not feeling this at all. Here, let's bring up the photo. Um, when it goes so far, I'm interested to know who the designer is. When it goes so
I'm
far,
not.
when it goes so far, I can almost accept it. It's a bit regal. I don't know. I've been watching a lot of the Gilded Age, so the structure and the construction of it feels regal. And I'm not gonna knock, but her the hair choice was actually a good hair choice to go with that because it is so sort of like busy, not in the color, but in the way it's put together, constructed. I kind of feel like it's a bit regal. I understand what you say, whereas it's like, is that her bottom? you know, and where does it fit onto her body? But it's very ballerina. Like I don't know. I don't hate it.
remove remove the pumpkin. All right, remove the pumpkin below her waist, and I'm good with it. But that pumpkin, I'm like, what is that?
Oh gosh, I didn't see any big. I respect what you're saying. Uh, it's almost so daring. If it goes so daring, it almost becomes good again and regal.
Okay.
But again, I'm wearing a black t-shirt and a baseball cap. What do I really know? But the slick back hair. Is it slick back hair? Kind of
I
worked for
can't
me.
tell if it's cut or not.
And it kind of
Uh,
worked with her fair complexion. It also sort of worked with that too, and the bright lip. Like I didn't hate it, but I totally hear what you're saying. Did you have anyone else that was of intrigue?
well, I had a question about David Allen Greer,
Oh,
who
he's a talent.
I'm not even, yeah, I mean, that guy, just amazing. I'd love to see him host the Tonys. Um,
Good call.
but
Yeah.
but my question is, it really looked like he had a gold brill at the bottom. Did you see that?
I
He
did see it and he
introduced,
did have it. Yeah.
and I'm like, okay, is this for a role? Are you just, why do you have at his age, which is who, what, 70?
Mhm.
Why do you have fronts? Anyway, I was just curious about that.
That's
But
funny.
my
And when I tried to look up the photo right now too, putting his name in Tony Awards, pictures from this year don't come out. So it's like one of those weird things. Like he's maybe not algorithmic friendly, which is so unfortunate. He's a talent. Right before going into COVID, he was going to do a play. I believe it was a play. I believe Blair Underwood was in it too.
okay.
And it was some type of military thing. And I remember because Namdi Asamugwa was also in it, Kerry Washington's husband, but he also went to my
Oh,
high
okay,
school.
okay.
Yeah. And so that was going to be something that was going to be of substance. I don't know if that came back. I don't know how a lot of these things happen in terms of when Broadway shut down and when Broadway came back. But
Right.
just to further say that David Allen Greer, even though he's a little bit of a comedian more so, he's got his insane acting chops. But the Grills was not really like maybe what you do. But at the same time, we put restrictions on ourselves like, oh, I'm over this year, 45 years old. I can't dress like this. It's kind of charming sometimes to also see them say, I'll do what I want. Question is, why do you want Grills, David Allen Greer?
I
Why?
mean,
Why? Who told
my
you that
only
looked good?
I figured that he's got to be doing something for a role.
Mhm.
Um, there was, the camera kept panning to this woman in the audience, and I thought she was Latina, and she had this, sort of bob cut curly hair, just beautiful looking specimen. And I kept going, who is that? Who is that? Who is that? And finally, when they got to the best actress featured, it was Ruth Nega. And I was like, I have never, Ruth is a real actress. And
Mhm.
so in a lot of her roles, like she starred in Loving. For anybody that saw Loving, she played the wife. She was also just in the Netflix um, movie with Tessa Thompson called Passing. But we don't really get to see Ruth Nega like fabulous.
This
And that
is this
woman,
the look?
that
This
woman,
was this what you're talking about? This was a wonderful look.
not quite, but yes.
Oh, okay. So I
Is
do like
that
the
it?
curl.
Is that it?
I
I
believe
mean,
so.
okay. Well, yes. I didn't recognize her. And I've seen her in plenty of things. But listen, I wanna say two more things and then I'll give your show back to you. One is that we have to talk about all the black female representation. The fact that Felicia Rashad got herself another Tony Award, the second. The fact that we had what, one, two, was it three black playwrights, at least two black female
Mhm,
playwrights. Next year, Sam Jackson's wife Latasha is going to be, bringing August Wilson back to Broadway. That is just so exciting for me
mhm.
and to me, because without the Dominique Morisseau's of the world. I think she has 3 shows on Broadway right now. Apparently the Michael Jackson thing is hers. I didn't know that.
Oh,
The
okay.
Fighting the Temptations thing and what she won for, what Felicia Rashad won for, which is Skeleton Crew. I mean, those stories don't get told without these writers.
Hmm.
And so I'm super excited about what Broadway will look like in 5 years if we keep allowing these voices in.
Hmm. I couldn't agree with you more. And it is that moment of Broadway was here, the pandemic happened. Who was going to rise to the top when we came back? And that's what this whole moment was. This show was a loud and proud vocal representation of a little bit more, of a diverse, storytelling than we usually see.
Yeah.
And it felt right, because the stories are more interesting. I'm not knocking like these other fantastic talents out there, but there was just something so special about the gentleman who was talking about Strange Loop, and you really hearing every word he's saying and you're navigating right through it.
Especially as performers ourselves, especially as aspiring. His
Mhm.
name is Michael something Jackson, Michael J or Michael L. Jackson or something, the Strange Loop guy.
Yeah, yeah. So
Um,
that to me was fantastic. But no, it's a good award show. I don't know who produced it necessarily, but like the choice to choose Ariana DeBose as being so young and her just being so confident. Like she's a pretty confident lady.
why
And
wouldn't she be? She's been doing this forever. She should be confident. And
I
we
know,
should,
but you could be nervous a little. But yeah, yeah,
we should not, when we get the opportunities, we cannot let all that stuff that we've been told all our life
you're right.
whisper in the back of our head. I mean, has that happened to you where you get an opportunity, you earn the opportunity, you work for that opportunity, and then there's that little nagging thing from that last job or from those people who told you that you weren't quite right or whatever? Screw that. This was her time, and if she never gets to do it again, she blew that ish up. She
Yeah,
blew it up right down to the very end. She even did a final number. I was like,
yeah.
go ahead, girl.
She's like, I got another mashup. You are right. We let those little tiny insecurities come into our mind. Me, sometimes even within my career, within radio or just communication, let's say, like I communicated and it was in radio for so many years, but for so many years, I did it under the wall of being nervous to talk about being a gay male. Like I didn't put that into my work. So even when I put it into my work, sometimes like it feels weird. I feel scared, like trepid, not scared, trepid. Or like, am I just being biased because I like to see this work because it really does feel like, my brothers and sisters of the community. But also that's what makes me special. That's what makes me navigate and be as good at what I do because I've had the lens for so many years over here and it made it work more for a mass audience, mass appeal. And now I'm doing it more for the things that matter to me. I don't know if 3 years ago I would have said, let's do a whole episode on the Tonys. But then I called my good girlfriend Angelique and I says, let's talk, and
Hell yeah, come on.
luckily you were available. I don't have any last words. If we missed anything, just think of it like this. Myself and Angelique, we've collaborated on a lot of projects together. So maybe she'll be on with me once a month or something like that. We could,
Maybe.
we, she's
Because
like, you
we
got to
got
cut.
to talk about this J-Lo documentary.
I might have you on sooner than later. Angelique's like, Ronnie, I know how your channel's going, but you got to cut the check if you want me back.
I didn't say that, but you
And,
can feed me. I won't turn down
yeah,
food.
yeah. To that point, if you want to support the channel, it is patreon.com/randomlyRonnie Jr. Is a really great way to do that. And here are look at some of the other programs we have within the channel: randomlywithronniejr.com, difficultpodcasters.com, popculturepov.com, and let's shine a light on it.com, which is new. The thing I like about let's shine a light on it.com, Angelique, you'll love this, is it's a spotlight on small businesses and people with an entrepreneurial mindset. I did it not because I know that arena so well, but because I'm at a transitional stage in my life where I want to learn more about business. For too many years, I put my work in radio as the craft, and that's fine. There's the business to it too. And I'm going to tell you, I've lost a lot of opportunities because I care so little about the business and I only care about the craft. And that's fine. But, starving artist after 40 years old is not cute. I
I
thank
know it.
everyone who watched this particular episode. We had a blast doing it. We spent 40 minutes, and if you're here till the end, thank you very much. Angelique, you are not only a great radio personality, I tell you this on the phone, not just because we're broadcasting, a voiceover queen, but you've been a good friend to me. The time that I met you, maybe over 10 years ago now, and yeah, it's about 10 years ago. No, it has to be more than 10,
More
actually.
than 10.
Yeah,
More
yeah.
than 10.
And the times we talk a lot, and the times we haven't talked in a while. Thanks for being almost like a mentor to me, like almost like my big sister. So I love that. Yeah.
Oh, so now you're blaming me for being over 40 and uh, what kind of mentor am I, Ronnie? Hang up. Let's
Whoa.
talk. Let's talk some business, okay? Get you where you need to be.
I'm just, you know what? The show's over. Did you know that? Ariana DeBose, great. Paradise Square, go watch it and go support the arts on any level. Go support the local theater, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Support your radio personalities like ourselves. Doesn't always have to be Mario Lopez on the radio. Anyways, we are out of here. The 75th annual Tony Awards was amazing, and we just wanted to talk about it. Angelique, you are so amazing, and it's time to say goodbye.
Thank you, Ronnie.
Hey, Ronnie Jr.